Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the water to Denmark once again, and we're returning to a brewery that I really enjoyed the last time I did a review from them, and they're quite highly rated of course. So we're going to go to beer here for my second review, and this one is the Executioner IPA. It comes in at 7%, rated 94 overall in rate beer and 95 within the style, so it should be really quite a nice beer. The Kama Citra that I reviewed from these guys before is one of the best brown ales that I've ever reviewed on the channel for you actually, so that was a really good beer. Definitely excited to try this one and try something different from these guys, and I guess the next time I review a beer, it will actually have to be one of the stouts or the porters or something like that, just to see how they are when it comes to the darker side of brewing of course. So definitely looking forward to that, and I hope you guys enjoy the review. Denmark of course is a very good beer country these days, so if you haven't already, do make sure you try some of the Danish craft beers. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews from beer here. No doubt more will be added in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so if you go into the homepage you can search for beers based on country, city or state, whatever you're interested in. There is a playlist of Danish beers as well as things from other countries as well, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review. Always interesting to hear from you guys, and your support is hugely appreciated, and please do get in touch and let me know some of the other Danish breweries I might not have heard of, because there's a lot of breweries opening up over there now, and hopefully I can get more of them in Sweden, or of course I can go to Copenhagen like I got this one and get some of the beer. Shout out of course to Karsten at Kiosk in Copenhagen for helping me choose this beer. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about beer here then, so beer here are a Danish brewery, as you might have guessed, founded in 2008 by Christian Skovdahl Eriksson, and he'd actually been homebrewing for around 15 years, and he previously worked at Ølfabrikken before starting up beer here as his own company. By trade he was actually a programmer, and he and his friend Martin Larsson established Ølfabrikken as in 2004 as a sort of side business to their programming work, and really kind of quite unexpectedly it took off for them. So Christian actually left to establish beer here, and he stated quite firmly at the time that he didn't like business or the idea of having employees, so he chose to kind of use the gypsy brewing method, where basically he rents capacity from other breweries rather than having his own physical brewery. Of course that's changed now right enough, but Christian says his favourite hop was the Nelson Sauvin because it kind of has the American fruitiness but also the European spicy character, and he was also quite interested in low alcohol beers, and that does seem to be a trend in the craft beer market now, you know, how to get big flavours from low alcohol things, and there's many breweries investing a lot of time and effort in that at the moment. But initially when these guys were still a gypsy brewery, a lot of the beers were brewed at Sogårds Brewery in Aalborg in Denmark, and also at the Prof Brouwerij in Lokriste Hefte in Belgium, which is near Ghent actually, a very popular destination for gypsy brewers actually. But Christian is also involved at Beerwerk project in South Africa, and for a period of time he was also involved at the Edge Brewing project down in Melbourne in Australia as well actually. But these days they actually have their own brewery at Tyne, which is in the northwest part of Bornholm. Bornholm of course is this supposed to be a very lovely little island. It's just this kind of random Danish island in the middle of the Baltic Sea off the southeast of Sweden. I'm not sure of the history of it and why it's still part of Denmark rather than Sweden, because it is closer to Sweden here of course, but it's meant to be very nice, and hopefully I can actually read up on that in the future and learn a bit more and go and visit it, because as I say, it's meant to be very nice. But it's cool to see that a gypsy brewer, you know, their beers have become such high demand that they have actually had to start their own brewery, and they've been able to fund doing this actually. So really cool to read about a brewery who have they've almost done the reverse of what some other brewers are doing actually. So it's kind of interesting. It's another kind of quirky thing you learn when you're doing beer reviews. But anyway, really cool brewery. Just to read the other beers you can get from these guys, of course, there's this guy here, the Executioner IPA. There's the Lupulus, the Dead Cat, the Amstout, the Dark Hops, Hoptilicus, the Wicked Wheat, and also the Pale Hops, and of course the Kama Citra that I reviewed for you before. So they've got a good choice of beers. They've got 4 seasonal beers as well, and various special brews that they also do. So yeah, quite an interesting brewery this one. As I say, it comes highly recommended from the guys at Kiosk and things like that. Karsten of course picked out this beer for me, told me have a go with this one, so a big thank you to him for recommending this one. So yeah, let you just have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open up. Kind of quite cheeky looking artwork. I do like that actually. You can see the guy, he's just got the big smile on his head there. You can see plain bottle cap on this one. It just says on the side, brewed and bottled at beer here in Allinge in Bornholm, and it says this killer IPA is brewed for the Roman beer bar Mastro Tita, which is named after the greatest executioner of Rome. Today the Romans are more beer thirsty than bloodthirsty, and Executioner IPA is a celebration of that fact. Executioner is a hop forward golden IPA with juicy malt flavours leading to a bitter and dry finish. So yeah, 7% IPA from Bornholm in Denmark. Should be really nice actually, you can see. So let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Definitely looking forward to this one. Oh, well, I guess that sometimes happens when you do beer reviews, unfortunately. Again guys, sorry about that. As you saw, the beer kind of exploded, then when I poured it, the heads just wouldn't settle. So sometimes with beer like that, it's kind of annoying when it explodes. You just have to let the beer settle before you come back and actually taste it. But as you can see, this beer's poured a really nice kind of coppery amber colour, actually, almost a mahogany colour, this one actually. It looks very, very nice. There was a huge kind of perfect white head on this one, I guess you would say. Bit too much head if I do say so myself, but you can see there's quite a bit of sedimentation visible in this one, so that's an indicator probably of why the thing kind of bubbled up in the way it did. You can actually see it sticking towards the side of the glass, but there's quite a few bubbles in this one. You can see them just going up towards the bottom of the head, some bigger ones sticking towards the side of the glass of course. There's a little degree of transparency to this, but overall the beer is actually quite opaque. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma of this one then. So yeah, you can actually, this one comes across as actually quite malty. It smells more like a malt forward IPA. So you can smell a nice big bit of caramel in there. It's actually a little bit toasted, and you can get some of the biscuity, grainy things coming out. It reminds me a little bit of the McVitie's digestives that we have back home. It reminds me of those biscuits. It's just got this little bit of a darker kind of toasted caramel mixed in with it though. But on the hoppy side of things, you can smell a little bit of grapefruit. You can smell that in there. But there's also a little bit of a kind of orangey note coming out of this one. A kind of darker, it's almost like a blood orange. It's a little bit darker than than the sort of Amarillo orange that you normally get. Or of course, I think it's Pacifica that gives you the orange characters from New Zealand as well. It definitely smells a bit darker than that. They don't say, of course, what hops are in the beers on their website, which is something that's always quite interesting because it does help you as a beer tuber. You know, you're always learning what kind of flavours different hops can give you, and you kind of know what to look for a little bit. But with this one, yeah, it's got a little bit of orangey character, some nice kind of grapefruit in there. You can smell a little bit of the kind of lighter tropical fruits that you might associate with the likes of Citra or Mosaic or something. You know, you can smell a little bit of almost, not quite watermelony, but maybe gooseberry. You can smell just a little bit of these lighter tropical notes in this beer. So just pay attention to that on the kind of front end of the nose. But of course you've got a nice bit of floral aromaticity to it. Not quite resinous, definitely more floral and a little bit darker floral at that. And you can get a wee bit of a kind of herbal or earthy note coming out of this one as well, which is quite interesting. So yeah, do pay attention to the aroma a little bit. It does have quite a nice one. There's quite a bit of depth to it as well actually. In terms of the nose though, it comes across as more of a kind of malt forward IPA. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one then. This is the Executioner IPA from Beer Here based in Bornholm in Denmark. Skål. That's actually pretty good. You know, I wouldn't expect anything else from Beer Here, of course. They've got a good reputation, and as I said, the Kama Citra was a really, really good beer. So this one's big and oily and juicy. You know, for me, that's the kind of mouthfeel I like. There's a lot of IPAs that, you know, some of the really hop forward ones can be very good, but I like the ones that have a good balance between the malt and the hop, the kind of fruity characteristics. And this one kind of falls into that category a little bit. It actually gets a bit more hoppy as you move into the aftertaste. You can feel the kind of hoppy bitterness just pushing its way out later on in the flavour, but it starts off with a good bit of sweetness and malt, but it starts off kind of quite juicy and with a lot of the kind of darker floral character coming out. But that's really nice. Yeah, you know, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, I'll say that right away. But there's some interesting stuff in this beer. The malt base, you can smell a lot of caramel in this one, but I'm not getting too much of that in the flavour actually. The malt base is a bit more bready. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of the caramel in there. In the middle of the palate, you can feel a little bit of that caramel in there. But other than that, to me, it comes across as a little bit bready. You can get some of the biscuity character in there as well. It's got a little bit of graininess as you start to move out towards the edge of the palate, which is of course where you start to find the hops. But in the middle of the palate, there's just a wee bit of that kind of sweet caramel character that you expect. But compared to the aroma, it definitely comes across with a bit of a lighter, more bready malt base. But of course, the interesting part about this beer definitely is the hops, I think. It's really quite nice actually. So in the back corners of the palate, I'm getting a little bit of an earthy, a very slight earthy character in there. As you come further forward, you've got a bit of you've got a dark floral aromaticity. There's a kind of slightly herbal character in there, or even a kind of spiciness to it. And as you go round the front curve of the palate, you get a bit more of a lighter kind of grassy flavour from this one. But of course, the fruity flavours are very interesting in this as well. You can really feel the grapefruit just underpinning this one. I do wonder if there's some Chinook in here. The characteristics I'm getting from this beer, there is a bit of resinous character that starts to come out later on, although it does have some of the kind of floral aromatic spice. So I do wonder if there's maybe something like Tomahawk or Chinook in this beer. It's always quite fun with beers, I guess, that when they don't tell you the hops, they kind of play guess the hop. But this one, I do think there's a bit of Chinook in here. Maybe something like Tomahawk as well, because it does have that typical resinous character that you get from Chinook. But then if you've got Tomahawk, and maybe even some Pearl actually, it has that sort of spicy floral aromaticity that you would kind of associate with those hops. There may well be a little bit of a kind of New Zealandy fruity character to this one. I don't think it's Nelson Sauvin that's in here, because it doesn't have, to me, I'm not really picking up the kind of green grapey characters that you would normally expect to that. So I'm not sure, I don't think there is Nelson Sauvin in here, but there may well be some New Zealand hop to this one. You can pick that up in this beer. As I say, it's always just interesting to play guess the hops. But yeah, it starts off, there's a bit of grapefruit just underpinning the fruity character. There is a kind of slightly darker sort of citrusy element, maybe a kind of blood orange sort of thing in that. You can feel that. If you just go behind that front curve of the tongue, you feel that little oily bubble. And that's where these nice kind of fruity flavours are coming out. You feel the grapefruit just underpinning it. There's a darker citrus mixing in there as well. But as you move into the aftertaste, you start to get a little bit of the lighter fruity esters coming out. So you can pick up a little bit, I'm not sure, maybe a little bit of kind of gooseberry or something like that. Just as you move right into the end of the aftertaste, you can feel a little bit of that lingering on your palate. And that's what makes me think there is some New Zealand hop in here. To me, it doesn't quite come across as grapey, so that's what makes me, as I say, the green grape character is a characteristic of the Nelson Sauvin, but I'm not certain that that's in here. It may be, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I don't think it's Nelson Sauvin. Of course, that was Christian's favourite hop, he was saying. But yeah, overall, it's a nice IPA. Certainly a really interesting one, and hopefully if you get this for yourself, it doesn't explode. But definitely worth trying. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this guy, it's mid-bodied. This is actually quite an oily IPA actually. Carbonation is quite smooth. You've got a little bit of sweetness from the malt base, but as I said, it's a bit bready and there's a bit of grainy character to it as well. It does give it a little bit of dryness. There's a good hoppy bitterness from this one that starts to come out in the aftertaste. The beer starts as a little bit more oily and juicy with a little bit of sweetness too, and the hoppy bitterness builds up, but there's a bit of juicy fruit in there also. But overall, this is really quite nice. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I would say this beer is for IPA lovers who, like the kind of pine resins, the kind of dark floral aromaticity. The fruit, I think, in this one takes a little bit more of a backseat. If you like the kind of old school IPAs, I guess, if you like the grapefruit flavours, the dark floral aromaticity, the pine resins, if you like an almost kind of classic American style IPA, I guess this is one that you really are going to enjoy. In terms of the rating, I'd say it probably is, the 90 odd rating for this one probably is about fair. It kind of hits all the buttons. It's designed to be a good drinking beer. It has all the kind of flavours you'd expect of the IPA style. So yeah, but in terms, I would say maybe in terms of beer here, if I had the choice between this and the Kama Sutra, probably I still would pick the Kama Sutra just because it was such a good example of the brown ale. But if you prefer the IPAs, then this is certainly a really, really quite nice beer. So yeah, really is up to yourself. Just pick a style of beer you like from beer here, and I'm sure you'll quite enjoy it. But this one probably is a good example of a kind of classic, kind of straight up American style IPA. If you like grapefruit, if you like resins, if you like aromaticity, this is certainly one that you're going to enjoy. So yeah, thank you for watching my beer reviews. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer and the brewery in the comment section below. Let me know what beer you'd like me to review next from beer here actually. I think I'll probably do a darker beer from these guys next time, because as I say, I've done the brown ale and also this one, so I want to do a darker beer next time and see how they are at brewing that. But thank you for watching my beer reviews. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on the beer and the brewery. Like I said, do check out the social media, and Slange just now, make sure you try the Executioner IPA from beer here in Bornholm in Denmark, and I hope your bottle doesn't explode in the same way that mine does. Slange just now.